Off top from 1986 to 1994, UNC's Lady Tar Heels that played soccer won 9 championships in a row. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. We are joined by Bill Barnwell and Charlie Kravitz. You didn't like that off top. It was delivered sloppily or something. You weren't a fan?
It's just very innocuous. I feel like usually there's more bite to the off tops.
I was trying to think of something that was related to the Patrick Mahomes-ification of all of our lives. And since he's about to get 3 in a row, I decided to point out that you'll never catch the Lady Heels in their soccer team because they won 9 in a row. So set a bar for him. Maybe he will get it, but we need to set a goal for him that's attainable.
101 games unbeaten during that stretch as well.
Were they all one-score games, though? Were they kicking it off the uprights and in those games, Charlie? I don't think so.
Is this going to be a Bill Barnwell celebration show?
No, because I picked the Eagles to decline this year. This is going to be a Bill Barnwell quietly tries to get through the show.
But I feel like through the course of this year, every week when we had some discussion about maybe the Chiefs aren't great, you were the voice of reason the entire time. Like, hey, guys, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. So, we can focus on that first. We don't have to get to the Eagles next. We'll focus on the Chiefs first.
I would like to point out, Bill said they would go 16-1. They went 15-2. So, Bill's prediction on the
Carson
Chiefs.
Wentz. I didn't account for Carson Wentz week 18. He got me.
How dare you, Bill? How dare you? I want to pull the room first, though, because I'm happy to start with Chiefs Bills.
I'm sure you are.
But I'm also happy if you want me to sit in the 55-23 beatdown of the Eagles over my beloved Commanders, which I took over the show and lambasted Bill all last week. I'm happy. If you want to start there, I got no cope. I can start there. I leave it to you guys. Which game do you want to start with?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Let's start with.
You want to hear Chiefs?
I can't believe you're edging my pain.
No, we're not. I mean, it's just we care about the game that actually was a game.
Okay.
Speaking of edging, the Buffalo Bills in their attempts to make it to the Super Bowl have fallen short for yet another season, unfortunately.
It's going to feel so good when they finally get there. It's going to feel so good when they finally get to the Super Bowl and win one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to continue on the edging jokes. Let's go, Charlie. What's the question?
13 seconds game, really. That was a real Patino moment. Okay, so the Chiefs, they're back in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They broke 30, guys, 32-29. It was a pretty thrilling game that wasn't thrilling down the stretch after the Chiefs were able to close them out by getting a couple first downs. Mm-hmm. There was a controversial 4th down spot. Dalton Kincaid had a ball go through his hands when Josh Allen flung it up when he was being suplexed by 2 Chiefs defenders. But Mahomes is inevitable. He made every play down the stretch. The Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. How do you feel, though, about the way the Chiefs won and the way their path has led them back to the precipice of a three-peat?
I mean, I think the way I feel impressed with the way that they won. And there's something about them winning in this way in this game that also feels like it's vindicating for their entire season, where I'm watching them play these games in a way. And I think I came around some towards the end of the season to recognize that this is not because their team is not good enough. It's a lot because they had some issues, but it's because they play the game that's in front of them, and they always recognize that the best place they can be in is in a close game. And anything that would make it difficult for them to perform in a close game, I think they are shying away from. They'll let you mistake yourself out of the game. But if you're not going to do that, they're completely comfortable because in those moments they manage to out of the game. Spags comes out with he did the same thing again where he's like, I'm not going to blitz you all game. But on the most pivotal down, he blitzed and the Bills were actually ready for it. The Bills were actually ready for it the first time because they ran a screen, but they ran to the ball and tackled him. And then again, the next time he had another blitz that – pretty much destroyed that play, even though Josh Allen was amazing.
Can we I want to start with that 4th down play, actually, because it's so fascinating to me. So go back to earlier this season when the Bills beat the Chiefs. That 4th and 2, same play. Bills called mesh. Chiefs actually dropped into zone, covered it really well, but Josh Allen ran for a touchdown to end the game. So after all the timeouts for this final play, fourth in the season, or fourth in probably the season. What do the Bills run? They run mesh. Same thing. Chiefs did not drop in play zone this time. Like Domonique said, they blitzed. The Bills were in a condensed split, condensed formation, so everyone close to the offensive line makes it harder to suss out who's coming, who's not coming on a blitz, and that's exactly what played out for the Chiefs here. A cornerback came out of the slot, was unblocked, wasn't expecting him to come. The thing that really stands out to me, though, and the thing that I want to push back on, is the idea that that is a drop from Dalton Kincaid. I think we are being too harsh on Dalton Kincaid. That is a play where the ball is getting thrown up. Who knows where it's going? He's not running it as part of a route. It's just a total chaos. The play has been broken up. Like, saying it's a drop when we use that same word to describe the Mark Andrews play from last week seems horribly unfair. Those are two totally different things. One was a drop on a play where the ball was coming to a guy who was open, who knew he was getting the football in that spot, in the scheme of the play, and did not catch it. This was like a total chaos miracle play.
Feel free to add whatever adjective or descriptor you want to the word drop for Mark Andrews or for Dalton Kincaid, but I will not allow you to change the word drop itself, because that's a damn drop. I don't know how you get to it, Bill. I mean, it sucks. I hate it too. I'm the guy, the king of empathy on this show. I will feel sorry for players for just about any damn thing. Not. And I feel, no. I feel sorry for Mark Andrews. I feel sorry for Dalton Kincaid. It sucks. But what I ain't going to do is lie to the man and tell him he ain't drop it. That was a drop pass, man. It was a drop pass.
I don't know, dude. It hit him in the forearm.
I'm sorry.
Because he dove and caught on that like ankle height on the forearm.
Okay, we're not doing this. So that situation, that play from Spagnuolo, I think was an incredible call. And to your point, they wanted to run mesh. So like I understand the play call in that situation. You have the condensed split because you want to be able to pick them off if they go blitz in your man. The challenge, and they had a zone beater over the top also, but the challenge in that situation was they blitzed and they still played a 3-over-3 zone, which like took away the mesh and should have taken away the deep pass, but it felt like the pressure also hurt the Chiefs. And that Cook, it looked to me, and I could be wrong, obviously, but it looked to me like Cook should have been the deep third player. Brian Cook, the safety for the Chiefs, because of the pressure, he settled his feet and didn't take into account that Josh Allen is Josh Allen and he could throw it, because that's how he got open. It seemed like it was supposed to be 3-over-3 and the coverage broke down. So I'm sorry, Dalton Kincaid, that dropped the ball and it was a tough catch, but there were opportunities. I guess that kind of cuts a little bit against what I was arguing about them in these situations, because while the play worked out for them, they kind of blew that.
Yeah. But when you blow it up once and you kind of get lucky, it's lucky. If you do it every single year in a key situation, that's not luck. Right. You're causing those mistakes to happen from the other team.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like the way the Chiefs-Bills games have ended. And to your point, Bill, it's not just luck. It's the fact that they put themselves in the position over and over again. It's the 13 seconds game. It's Bass missing the field goal last year, and now it's this. And it's just it's heart-wrenching for Bills fans and, elation for Chiefs fans. But to me, makes me start to wonder if Allen is ever going to beat Mahomes in the playoffs.
I mean, the one time they lost in this round of the playoffs was the
Burrow
D4.
Game.
That's right. Burrow in D4. That's right. So Burrow game, and Mahomes was terrible, uncharacteristically, in the second half of that game. And the other time before that was against the Patriots when D4 jumped off sides and ruined the game-sealing interception. And I think so. I agree with what you're saying, but in that situation, they did blow the coverage. So you're right, but they did blow the coverage. You're right that the play still didn't work and they made all the plays. I don't know how it would have turned out, but one of the interesting things about watching them play is we were sitting and watching this game in the green room, and we all asked ourselves when the Bills scored, should they go for two when they scored to tie the game? And it's just like these questions that we ask ourselves when there's 6 minutes left that we would never ask ourselves if you're playing any other team. And I know it's a long way to get to this, but it's also how I feel how I imagine their opponents feel.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we're not comfortable here. And it's not, they don't play terrible, but they're like, oh, this is different. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And it always ends up biting them at some point.
And I mean, that you could feel that. I felt like on the first Chiefs drive and that final one, where it was complete command. There was never a question that they're going to scheme someone open, Mahomes is going to make the right decision, deliver the ball on time, or they're going to be able to run for a first down.
And it's funny because I think when everybody else plays the Bills, that's the feeling they have, right? Of, crap, we left too much time for Josh Allen, or we have to budget like we know Josh Allen's going to come down the field and score, so we have to think this is going to be a 2-for-1, not a we're going to run out the clock kind of series. And that is what the Chiefs do not only to everyone else but also do to the Bills.
This has been a great run. Obviously, the Chiefs are on like the pristine run. When the Patriots dynasty ended, we were like, what an anomaly. We'll never see that ever again. This can't happen in a hard cap sport like the NFL. There's too much parity. And then they just passed the torch. And Mahomes has, been to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl every single year he's been a starter. Mm-hmm. But the Bills are in a precarious spot where they are always the bridesmaid, never the bride of this. Josh Allen's the first quarterback to lose 4 playoff starts against another quarterback. All of those are to Patrick Mahomes. Same with McDermott to Andy Reid on the coach side of it. Do you need to shake something up if you're the Bills and consider not bringing back Sean McDermott to get over the hump? Because this is something where they are stuck against Tiger Woods on Sunday, against Djokovic in center court, against Tom Brady. This is the same thing.
I want to respect this answer, but I feel the same way about this, or respect this question, but I feel the same way about this question as I do about Bill saying that Kincaid dropped that pass.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I'm just asking questions.
Okay, you can ask the questions. The assumption that's implied in this is that you get a better coach.
The assumption is just to shake up the snow globe.
Oh yeah, that's never been a strategy.
This is a sheer shake-up. This is no. Yeah. There's no strategy to this. It's just sheerly put someone else in there and see if you get shake the magic 8 ball and see if you get a different response.
It's just like, hey, let's run it back for a 5th time and lose by 3.
I mean, I get your point. So
I got it.
Go ahead.
I got it, Charlie. I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna blow your mind, and you're gonna agree with me. The Bills need to hire Steve Spagnuolo as their head coach.
Oh,
it's pretty good.
Pretty good. You take away Mahomes' defensive genius. Now, you have the guy who always has the crazy blitz for the exact moment at the right time. Is that not fulfilling the answer of your question, even though your question is wrong?
If there's one man who knows how to scheme up to stop Patrick Mahomes, it's Spags.
I mean, it was a silly question, but Bill gave a pretty interesting answer.
I gave it a pretty good answer, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. It makes the question seem less silly. I take it back. You got to take shots downfield sometimes and just throw it up, see what happens.
My answer was the $1 million buyout for a different Billy B.
Belichick.
You could buy me out of the show for $1 million too. I'll happily. Solak can take my spot for $1 million.
You'll go coach Josh Allen.
I'll go coach Josh Allen. The only reason I would say no to this, Charlie, is I think about the Colts. Right, this was the Colts being on the flip side of this with Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning, and eventually it happened. Like, you just had all the things come together. The Patriots were a little bit worse. They didn't have the same playmakers they had earlier in that run. The Colts were a little better. They got a little healthier on defense, and it just flipped, and they won that year. So, like, if you were a coach you felt really confident about, I would say sure, but for the sake of shaking it up, I just think you have to hope that you're going to be able to figure it out one of these years.
It's funny that you said Tony Dungy, because I thought you were making the case for it when you said Tony Dungy, because wasn't Tony Dungy the coach that built up that Bucs team, and then John Gruden swooped in and won the championship with on the strength of that defense mostly, even though Gruden was like an offensive minded coach. It's funny that Tony Dungy represents both. Shake up the snow globe and just
keep that snow globe nice and secure. Just leave it right on the wall.
Yeah, I don't think that's the assumption. There is like the probability that you'll end up with a better coach, or a coach that improves things. Like Sean McDermott, I recognize their in-game decision making and management stuff that you could knock him for, but I've always been impressed with how he's made the best of the defenses that he's had, despite the injuries and the relative lack of talent, I would say. And I don't know whose decision it was to make the switch to Joe Brady. That was like a gutsy decision to move on from Joe Brady, or to change to Joe Brady as the coordinator when Dorsey had Allen playing pretty well. I think he's done. I mean, he gives a terrible speech from time to time, as we know. From whose Substack was that pointed out that he made a 9/11 motivational speech on the wrong team?
It's a tough scene.
You don't remember that?
No, of course I remember that. Of course. I just don't remember who Substack it was.
I think about it literally every single time I see Sean McDermott on the screen.
Same. It's the first thing I think about, and I'm like, nope, can't make a joke there. But no, he's an excellent defensive coach. He's been an excellent coach, and to be fair, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Bills as they were getting there.
It was.
The problem is this is also a rebuilding 2 years for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I don't think about
difference
this
is, though,
year nearly as much.
they've also now beaten the Chiefs 4 times in a row in the regular season. So it's not like this is a situation where like they never have answers for the Chiefs. They have answers. They just have the answers at the wrong time, seemingly.
I'm sure we're going to have plenty of time to talk Patrick Mahomes and all that stuff, but generally about this team, the most impressive thing, and this is very reminiscent of the Patriots dynasty, is that they find different ways to do it. And I think that's when you talk about like modern dynasties, you think about the old dynasties that we think of in the past are like the Steelers and the 49ers and the Cowboys. It's very like stagnant because free agency wasn't a thing. Like that seems to be the like deciding factor of these more modern dynasties is that coaching really matters, and the flexibility, the ability to take the ingredients that you have and make a team around it. And it always feels like it's coherent, even if it doesn't start out that way, or even if you look at the roster and you're like, hey, how are we going to make this work? And they found a way year after year. Of course, it always helps that one of the main ingredients is Patrick Mahomes. That's really nice. But even when they won last year on the strength of their defense mostly, it was like the pieces that they had. They ended up missing on the draft on their offensive pieces and nailing the defensive pieces in the draft, and then they became a defensive-oriented team. And they've done it again this year where they have found ways to work around their shortcomings, and they still haven't answered the receiver question. They still haven't found someone to lock that position down, but they find ways to run the ball and hit Travis Kelce. And Mahomes had more rushing yards than Josh Allen,
and 2 rushing touchdowns.
And
he had an awesome touchdown run, which he completely ruined by the worst spike in NFL history.
That was a day with a really bad celebration, but Quinyon Mitchell's celebration was the best.
But also, like, Mahomes can't win everything. So at least he messed up the spike. He just plays so well in every high-leverage game. It's like 9.4 yards an attempt, no turnovers, 2 rushing touchdowns, accounting for 3 touchdowns, executing the offense to give them a lead early, and executing the offense down the stretch. Like, it went from this like insane playmaker to someone who is just the best decision maker and most accurate guy in these situations that we've like ever seen.
Yeah, but even go back to that final drive. I mean, he took a sack in that goal-to-goal situation, through that screen low. Like, he's not perfect. He just is really good. And then you have, I think, a team effort around him to that they've sort of thoughtfully built. I mean, this is a team that went and traded Tyreek Hill and built a broader roster and did not spend as much on their top-level players. The Bills have kind of emulated that by trading Stephon Diggs and trying to build a deeper receiving core. The Bills have gone with more 2 tight end sets the way the Chiefs did. The Bills have gone more into the run the way the Chiefs have. I think the biggest difference between these two teams is the Chiefs have Chris Jones, and that changes the way you can protect. That changes the way, you've got a guy who can move one-on-one. Obviously, he's swung so many games. He had some very impressive rushes in the first half of this game, but he didn't swing the key plays of this game the way he did last year. But the Bills took that swing on free agency and signing Von Miller, and it didn't work. And now I would assume Von Miller's gone after this year. I think the question for the Bills is, are you taking a big swing this offseason to change things? Even if it's not necessarily changing your coaching staff, which I don't think they're going to do, would they take a swing on trading for a player? They're trading for a pass rusher, trying to sign someone in free agency. Like, I think they have that one big shot to go and get someone who can flip these games. I just don't know who that would be necessarily.
I mean, I think Chris Jones and McDuffie give their defense some flexibility that most teams don't have. And it matters. And when we talk about like the playmakers on offense and like the difference makers on offense, like we spend a lot of time focusing on them, and I don't think appreciate how important it is or how valuable it is to have a corner that can give you the flexibility to do things that you wouldn't always be comfortable doing. And obviously Chris Jones, he determines the slide of the line, which makes it really easy to scheme blitzes, because you know one thing is they're not going to leave Chris Jones on the island if they can help it.
That Collins got McDuffie today, though.
He got him. Yeah, I mean, that pass was insane. That pass dropped right in, and it was a great catch. He did get him. But, I mean, that's the life of a cornerback. You're not going to shut people out. He still is really good.
It's also this weird thing where the Chiefs have a key player for the other team get injured in the game, and then they just exploit that weakness over and over again. In the Super Bowl, it was Dre Greenlaw going out, tearing his Achilles, running onto the field. In this Bills game, it was Christian Benford suffered a concussion early in the game, and then they basically just targeted Kyer Elam for the next 4 quarters of the game.
The interesting thing about that, we talked a lot about the defensive strategy. The offensive strategy in this game was clear, was like, we're going to get you out of zone. In the very first few drives, they're like, we're going to RPO you to death, because in the RPO, you have run and pass responsibilities when you're in zone, and it's like a zone behind you or the running gap in front of you. When you're in man, you don't have those responsibilities. You just go to wherever your man is. And so they ran the RPO until the Bills were like, all right, well, I guess we have to play man, and then they just ate them alive. And that it's just nothing you can do. They don't have their corners are not man corners, and they wanted Elam to be that when they drafted him, but he hasn't panned out. They just don't have that type of personnel. They got covered 3 corners is what they have.
Do you think big deal, little deal, no deal, hard pivot on this, of the spot where Josh Allen did not get the first down on the QB sneak that led to that? Because from the side angle, it did look like he was across the 40.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd go no deal. I don't know. Bill, I don't know what that exasperation was. If it was frustrating with feeling like the Chiefs get all the calls, or frustration because it's a question that you don't want to have to deal with.
More the latter than the former. I would say little deal. Like, yes.
Yeah.
If you asked me in a vacuum, Bill, do I think Josh Allen got the first down? The answer is yes. No question to me. Josh Allen got it. Chris Jones standing up at exactly the right time to shield the football from the camera. That's MVP stuff. Know your angles if you're going to be a player on the field. But flip the scenario here. Let's say the Chiefs don't pick up a 4th and 1, and they show replays, and you can't see the football behind a player, and the league flips it, and the Chiefs get the first down. People would be going nuts right now. So to me, I think that call was flimsy enough either way that I can't be mad about it one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I thought he got it also, but I also am not, as a neutral observer, I'm not like moved to think that this was some sort of demonstration of bias, or this. I mean, this doesn't fall into tuck rule category where like it feels like it was more game defining than this one actually felt.
This isn't the referee saying if you keep going off sides, we're going to award the other team a touchdown.
I didn't know that was a thing that could happen.
It is.
I didn't know. That's the first time.
Bill, did you know that?
I did. I know, because I that's something I've read about for like the 12 men on the field penalty. When you have like 12 men on the field to try and run time off the clock late. That is one of the arguments against doing that, which I have suggested as a strategy before to teams.
It's a good strategy.
We can pivot to that game.
Oh, you ready?
Yep. So obviously I talked a lot about Jaden Daniels over the last couple weeks. He still rules. Not getting off that. Amazing season, but the Commanders got absolutely thumped 55-23 by an Eagles team that looks like the best roster from top to bottom in football. It was a pretty flawless game from Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley took their first offensive play 50-plus yards to the house, and they never really looked back. The Commanders did not play a clean game. They had multiple turnovers. Not that it was a difference, the difference in the game when there was such a difference in talent on the field. But what do you think we learned from the Eagles' dominating performance over the Commanders?
Nothing. I mean, like I don't. I mean, I think maybe we could have some learning from the Commanders. I don't think I learned anything about the Eagles. Like we thought the Eagles were better in every position. I think we all agreed that we thought Jalen Hurts had the ability to take advantage of compromised defenses with those talented receivers. Like they did exactly what we expected them to do. I think it's possible that you could put a positive. I'm surprised you haven't put a positive spin on this game for Jaden Daniels, because
there is definitely. It's definitely.
I don't know. I was just surprised that you haven't gotten there yet. We've already been talking about this for 2 whole minutes, and you haven't already said it, because I walked away from that game feeling good about Jaden Daniels. Everyone around him,
not everyone. Tressway.
Oh, Tressway.
Dog. Tressway's a dog. No, I mean, look, like that's like I have to eat it after all of the Jaden Daniels talk. I thought coming into this game, I thought there was a path for the Commanders to win. That path was playing an incredibly clean game and playing from ahead. they played an incredibly sloppy game and played from behind the entire time. So it was very quick that their path to victory was going to become significantly more complicated. But no, you can't feel like Daniels absolutely looked like he belonged in an NFC Championship game against what might be the most talented defense in the NFL, playing from behind for most of the games. So that's an incredible positive. You're going to go into next year with $100 million of cap space, a good GM, Daniel Snyder furious across the pond, and a potentially transcendent quarterback. That's an incredible positive that we haven't had ever in my life.
Let's get back to how dominant the Eagles were.
So you asked for it.
I didn't ask for it. I said it. I didn't say, now let's go and start glazing. I did not request a glaze.
That was Cope, not glaze.
It was Copey glaze.
Yeah,
it was
Copey glaze.
It was glazed Cope. All right, Bill, what do you think?
The Krispy Kreme light was turning on and it said hot glazed Cope for Charlie Kravitz there. I'll go to the Eagles side of this. I don't know that I agree with you, Dominique. Like, we've sort of for the last 2 months been like, okay, Saquon Barkley's great, defense is great. Jalen Hurts, we don't know. We don't know if he's good. He's kind of hurt. He's banged up. Doesn't look great. Right. This was the best he's looked in months to me, Jalen Hurts, in this game as a passer. I mean, that fourth down deep completion to A.J. Brown, where he felt confident enough to throw that football and put it in exactly the place he needed to. He was effective as a runner, even without, with the injuries up front, where you had different centers for each half of this game, with Dickerson playing the first half and then Juergens coming in for the second half. It didn't feel like the Commanders had any answer. And this was a game where Saquon, of course, was incredible for plays, but it wasn't like he was on the field as much as he normally is, because he was kind of struggling a little bit. They were in kind of a 50-50 split with Gainwell until Gainwell got hurt on return duties. And so I felt like more of this fell on Jalen Hurts, and he was up to the task, which is something I know in the past he has been capable of, but we have not seen that guy against, in a big moment really for a couple months now.
I guess, I didn't have any doubt that, and to Charlie's point, he said that the Commanders had to play a clean game and play from ahead.
They were dirty as heck.
And so I feel the same way about Jalen Hurts. Is like, the question that I have remaining about Jalen Hurts was like, if he's from behind and things are a little choppy and the opposing team knows he has to pass, that's the Jalen Hurts that we haven't seen show up. Like, this Jalen Hurts, I knew was in there. I guess I wouldn't have been surprised if he had a poor game given the injury and how mediocre their passing game's been up until this point. But knowing that when Jalen Hurts has the ability to threaten the opposing team, because they have the lead with that offensive line, and bashing them with Saquon Barkley, and Saquon Barkley breaking off huge runs, like, can he complete passes to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith against cover 3 and man coverage? Like, I kind of felt like I knew that. I guess the ceiling that he reached today was probably higher than I would have anticipated, but I'm not surprised by it.
He was excellent. And the Commanders' defense is bad.
Right.
They're bad.
Am I wrong?
No, but Barkley did rip off huge runs, but Jalen Hurts was so central to their offensive success today in a way that I think was a tiny bit surprising and raises what I think their ceiling is. Like, they ran that, like, the Commanders were so worried about Barkley. They ran that little RPO, and he's able to roll right or throw to his right, and whether it was to Goddard or A.J. Brown, he just made it. His decision-making was so crisp, and it was so easy, and it was so good driving the ball to different parts of the field, that to me that was genuinely impressive, even if it was against a bad defense. Like, it's 55 points in the conference championship.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not impressive. Yeah. I'm saying that I'm not surprised by it. Like, I expected him to be able to do that. I would be surprised if they were down 14 and at halftime, and that he came out and sliced and diced them for the second half. That's the thing that I would be surprised by. Can he, like, I feel like that's the best part of his game. This
is the Lamar criticism, though, right? Like, the idea that, okay, well, he never does it when they're down 14. Well, they're never down 14 because they are always winning. So how can we judge them off of that?
No, I agree. It feels like you guys are gaslighting me.
No.
And that, like, I'm not saying that he's bad. I know that he's good, and I know that part of the reason why they're never down 14 is because of him.
You're saying he has the ability to do this. What I'm saying is we have not seen him do this for so long that I kind of forgot he's capable of it, or thought maybe he's so banged up that he doesn't have that in him right now. And he's not.
That's how I felt.
He can pull it off.
Yeah, I didn't feel like in this iteration of the Eagles that he had been. I know They were obviously worse with Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett playing quarterback, but I didn't feel like he was as central to their offensive scheme as I realized today.
Yeah.
And that I thought was the impressive part about it.
What do you get? One passing touchdown and
2 rushing touchdowns. Had a
three
third
rushing.
called back for
3?
holding.
Oh, yeah.
No, he had 2, and he had a third
had
that
3,
they
right?
pulled back.
No, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. 3 rushing touchdowns,
sorry.
1 passing touchdown.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They had 7 rushing touchdowns in this game.
Yeah.
In history, the combined record for rushing touchdowns in one conference championship weekend was 8, and the Eagles almost got there by themselves in this game.
And, I mean, Shipley got walked. That was depressing.
I think Will Shipley proved that running backs don't matter based on what we saw at the end of this game.
There we go. Shipley came in and rescued the nerds. Running backs don't matter.
I was telling Domonique that when Shipley returned the opening kickoff of the game, at first I was like, whoa, they're putting Saquon to return kicks?
Woo! Pulling out all the stops. They're scared of the Mandos. They're scared of the Mandos. All right, this is too much time not talking about how incredible that defense was.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, I think Dan Quinn made the point, and because I was thinking about this game, and like I didn't hate how the Commanders played, and they were still in the game despite the turnovers. Yeah. But Dan Quinn made this point that these were turnovers that were created by the Eagles. These weren't like.
The one where the kickoff returner just ran into his own guy might have been on the Commanders, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. The other two punch-outs, were like deliberate punch-outs. This was not, that kickoff wasn't as deliberate. But, I mean, that's a credit to Fangio and that team. And that coverage, man, they're so good. They're so good in the secondary. With 2 rookies that are just – I mean, I know Slay plays outside on nickel situations and DeJean goes inside. But DeJean and Mitchell I thought were amazing. If it wasn't for the fact that Jalen Carter was on his Aaron Donald I think we talk more about DeJean and Mitchell. And Mitchell's interception, I already mentioned his celebration, how sick that was, the Terry McLaurin trolling. It was perfect because – he had to practice that with his guys, which means that he knew he was going to get it or he anticipated an interception over Terry McLaurin. It's pretty awesome.
See, you focused on the DBs. When I was watching that game, obviously I thought about Jalen Carter and like his violent hands. Jordan Davis ran down Jaden Daniels on the play. Nolan Smith had a chase down sack.
Ridiculous.
And Zach Bond. It felt like
phenomenal.
The front four and Zach Bond, it just felt like they were completely dominant and blowing the offensive line off the ball on so many plays.
Yeah. The thing that really kind of summed this game to me are the first 2 drives, right? Like the Commanders, they had to claw and scratch for like 6-yard gains over and over and over again on that first drive. They pick up 2 4th downs, and finally they have to settle for a field goal, and then just Saquon goes 60 yards the other way in like 30 seconds. And it's just like, oh, okay. Like, it is a lot harder to be the Commanders right now than it is to be the Eagles. And that is, of course, because the Eagles have more stars, but also because I think that defense is so well coached, so well organized, just does not make mistakes. I go back to almost a year ago now, probably just over a year ago now, Dolphins players were literally tweeting their excitement that Vic Fangio was gone after 1 season. Oops.
I mean, Vic has made a lot of. I mean, this is the ingredients conversation. These are great ingredients combined with a great chef.
They weren't they weren't that great second half of last year. I'll tell you that much. I know they're better.
Well, I mean,
in the secondary, but still.
There are some changes, but either way, I think I'm not trying to take credit away from Vic Fangio. This has been incredibly impressive. He deserves credit. But these guys, those rookies weren't there.
Yeah.
They weren't there last year, and I do think
Jalen Carter had a massive second half of the season slump in his rookie year, and this year he went the exact opposite direction.
Nolan Smith has been great this year.
Bond wasn't there.
He was dropping in the coverage last year. Nolan Smith second half last year. Matt Patricia was running the defense. Zach Bond was
Matt Patricia running
was
the
a
defense.
Saints edge rusher last year. I mean, again, no question there's talent there, but you can't expect 2 rookies to be star cornerbacks, and those dudes are stars for the Eagles already.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm sure Fangio deserves some credit for that also, and the rest of their coaching staff, because bringing them along. And I remember beginning of the season, DeJean wasn't playing much. Like, they were bringing him along more slowly, even though I think Quinion started right off
was
the
a
bat,
day 1
right?
starter,
Yeah, and he's been, I mean, the plays the ability to track the ball. There are some things you just can't teach or coach as much as we want to give credit to coaches. But like the comfort in those like tough situations that Quinyon has is something that you just don't see. And the bobbled interception is just.
They're also both freakishly powerful cornerbacks. Yeah. That's really unique to have guys who are that strong and that physical.
I have a question for you, Charlie. Since you are our number one Commanders fan, you have seen what happened this year. Like you said, great situation, good coach, good GM, great quarterback, lots of cap space, presumably a place people are going to want to come play now. But we just saw the Houston Texans enter into the offseason where it felt like the world was their oyster. They went out and got a bunch of talent, and they did get back to exactly where they were in the postseason the following year, but it felt like they were disappointing. What is a reasonable 2025 look like to you for the Commanders?
That's a great question. I think it would be really easy to be like, oh, this is the start of something. We'll be back exactly right here. But that is by no means a given in the NFL. Getting to conference championships, like, it's certainly not easy. I lean towards being pretty aggressive and trying to use the window that Jaden Daniels on his rookie contract to try and acquire talent to be really competitive. I think the goal should be being competitive for the entire length of his rookie contract, being like a 10-plus win team and improving the defense, improving the offensive line, improving the weapons around him, and trusting that. I mean, Adam Peters hit on his first 3 draft picks this year with Daniels, with Johnny Newton, with Sanders Stroh. He's not going to do that every single year. That's almost impossible. But continuing to draft at like a reasonably high clip and acquire talent that's not an overpay. Although I think T. Higgins is really good, and a classic old Commanders move would be like, all right, we're going to spend $40 million a year on T. Higgins. That'll fix everything. Let's be good up front. Let's have a good offensive and defensive line and build this sustainably the way that the Eagles have built this. The way that Howie Roseman looks at, he big, I want him.
He fast.
And fast.
He big, he fast.
And he played for Georgia.
Ankles. Yes. Yeah. Howie's not a fan of the cankles. He's like, thin ankles, big fast, gimme.
Yes. Can we talk about how
is that fair though, Bill?
Yeah, it's fair. I think that's fair. Howie Roseman is awesome at his job. I'm not going to discredit Howie Roseman in the slightest.
He said he's cool. He's not cool. He's good at his job.
He's definitely not cool. I'm not going to say he's cool, but he's obviously very good at his job. It's so funny to me that in the same offseason, he's going to sign the Offensive Player of the Year in Saquon Barkley, might sign the Defensive Player of the Year in Zach Bond, and he also signed Devin White.
Rookie of the Year?
I'm saying free agency. They cut Devin White, who never played a game for them, gave him like $4 million guaranteed. And their biggest signing was Bryce Huff, who barely plays for them and is getting like $16, $17 million a year. Like, it's incredible that you can be so good and so bad at the same time, and yet the good stuff obviously outweighs the bad stuff. But this is very hard to do.
I mean, in his defense, and I guess this is the
There's
coaches
nothing to defend. Like, it's nothing wrong with what he's done.
I mean, yeah, he's great. But I just mean like I guess not in his defense, but I think the negative acquisitions, the comfort and courage and confidence to move on from those is like a valuable skill also.
Of course.
Like admitting that you were wrong as soon as possible and allowing that not allowing that mistake and your ego connected to the decisions you make get in the way of the playing the best players. So
he also signed Mekhi Becton. Got a 6'8", 365-pound guard.
Great, and they hired Fangio, who their coordinators again. Matt Patricia was their defensive coordinator by the end of last season. So upgrading to Fangio, pretty big upgrade. And Kellen Moore has been really good for them at OC as well.
Stuck with the great Nick Sirianni. Do we have to have a Sirianni talk? We have to have a Sirianni talk. The man, all he does is win.
I will say, is.
What? I will say what? You can't hit us with I will say.
Is he just like bad at press conference Dan Campbell? He's so aggressive. He just wins over and over and over again, but he's not as good at the press conferences, so we don't respect him.
And he does goofy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Dan Campbell doesn't pick fights with his own fans in the stands.
Yeah.
Though.
I mean, if that's his worst transgression, also talk in the middle of the Super Bowl. I know that's going to come up at some point.
Did you? It was Brady who was calling the first game, right? Yeah. It was like he was saying that Sirianni should turn and talk to the fans after he got the Gatorade poured on him.
Quality Brady, right?
I was like, that is Brady, who's like used his 6th round spite for 20 years to become the greatest of all time.
He's going to the Super Bowl, so I guess he was good at it, right?
It's another Super Bowl for Brady. Really adding to his
staying
goat
ahead of
case against
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Do we want to talk about Jalen Hurts in the locker room at all?
Oh yeah, with his
pleated
tucked
khakis.
in pleated khakis. I don't know if I have the credibility to talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like are the three of us gonna sit around and criticize Jalen Hurts' fashion choices now?
We're leaning heavily on Domonique for this conversation.
I mean, I'm 41, guys.
Hand on the rock off to Domonique.
I'm 41 with 3 kids. Like, it wasn't a look that I thought was cool, but I can't pull it off because I'm old.
Bill, I bought this sweater.
Oh my
and,
gosh, Bill.
Ran to Domonique and I was like, check out this cool patterned sweater I got, Domonique. Do you like it? And he was like, what pattern? It's just blue.
Bill.
Yeah.
Bill, no, he's not even doing a good job of explaining why this sweater frustrated me. I encouraged Charlie. It's like, come on, man, we're doing a live show, man, so I need you to like bring out your flyers. Like, get something. This is like showtime. This is showtime. So this sweater doesn't offend me, but this ain't a showtime sweater. This is this is what he pulled out. So to be clear, Bill, you are throwing a topic on the table, asking us to be critical of Jalen Hurts' fashion choices when Charlie broke out this diamond patterned sweater. It was like, hey, I'm gonna kill him with this tortoise shell look that I got, this turquoise Ninja Turtle I pulled off, man. Oh.
I'm here to pass the ball and set picks, man. This is a set the picks sweater.
No, you were big too. We were Jordan Pippen at the live show, and you decided that you wanted to dress like B.J. Armstrong.
And Scottie Pippen was the most underpaid player in the NBA and shopped at JCPenney for most of his run with the Bulls.
Fair point, but on the court, we were Shaq and Kobe. How about that? We could have been Shaq and Kobe. I was wondering, but who is the MVP? I know we don't do playoff, but it's Saquon Barkley, right? If we gave away an MVP of the playoffs,
the dude having like the best rushing postseason in league history after one of the best regular seasons of rushing in league history. Yeah, I think it's Saquon.
He's gonna almost certainly break Terrell Davis's playoffs. Single playoff rushing record.
It's hockey, right? Hockey's the league that does a separate MVP for the playoffs. Yeah. I want a Conn Smythe for football just so that we can give it to Saquon because he could never win a regular season MVP.
And they kind of have that for, I guess basketball's easier, but they've added the Eastern Conference MVP and
that's new though.
Yeah.
And they named it after Bird and
Bird and Magic.
Yeah.
Finals MVP is kind of a playoff MVP in basketball.
Yeah,
except for 2018 LeBron didn't get it. It's sad.
This is very football related. Look, we've clearly got on topic here.
I mean, we can't get off topic when it's my show.
Well, it's your show again. Thankfully, you brought the show back under Domonique Foxworth.
We've taken it back. We were off topic the last few weeks because it was the Charlie Kravitz show, but we back.
I was excited. Good things don't happen to me.
Hold on. I'm not. I was encouraging it. I was happy to hand the show over because I do think that there's nothing better than genuine fan excitement. Only thing better than that is genuine fan sadness. Charlie?
I'm not that. I'm not that sad.
Please don't put it on the paper that I'm sad.
I'm only like a little bit sad. Not a lot of it sad.
This is like a little child who started crying and they're trying to explain to their parents why they're crying.
I would have been much more sad if Jaden Daniels played like a pumpkin. If he's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold did. But he looks like he totally looked like he belonged.
Instead, the other 51 players played like a pumpkin for most of the game.
Yeah.
On our Thursday show, I said the Eagles are better at 51 positions.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I was correct
not
in that
punter,
assessment.
Not punter,
and not quarterback.
That's it. We got you. 2 most important positions on the field. Well, this was fun for the city. We'll look forward to it next year. It was too early to pick Super Bowl teams.
Chiefs are 1.5 point favorites. Do you want an early pick on this?
Sure. Go ahead.
Do you want me to pick first?
Oh, I thought you were offering it to me.
I was saying, do you want to take an early pick?
I mean,
sure. Chiefs.
Eagles.
Of course, I picked the Chiefs all year. I told you it was going to happen all season. I don't think as long as Carson Wentz doesn't get in the way, we're good.
I've been picking the Eagles for most of the year.
Ooh, what if Carson Wentz came back in the Super Bowl for an injured Patrick Mahomes and beat the Eagles? Wouldn't that be incredible?
It's impossible, also.
Damn. Carson Wentz playing in the Super Bowl before Dak. Really tough for you, Dominique.
It is tough. All right, I'm going to go back to my one-bedroom shack on
Charlie
Dak
still got
Prescott
it.
Island. Yeah, you still win. It's still your show. All right, Bill, thank you so much for joining us, man. Charlie, thank you for being sad for us. All right, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Charlie. Thanks to all the great producers. Puppet, I love you. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.